Dr. Harshvardhan Rao P. from Amrita Institute of Medical Science is joining us today to help you understand everything about the disease. Hello and welcome to the Health Side, Doctor.
Hi, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, my first question is, can you please tell us a little about what is hepatitis and if it is infectious?
Hepatitis is a disease of the liver that is usually caused by a viral infection. There are a group of viruses called the hepatitis viruses that infect the liver and cause liver dysfunction. These viruses are infectious. There are multiple types of these viruses, and they can transmit from one patient to the other quite easily.
What are the different types of hepatitis in people that people should know about?
There are five different viruses of the hepatitis family, right? They are named from A to E, that is hepatitis A, B, C, D, and E. Of these, four viruses cause clinically significant disease, that is A, B, C, and E. Hepatitis D does not cause infection individually. It usually presents with a hepatitis B virus infection.
So, what are some of the symptoms that people need to look out for? Some common symptoms.
So hepatitis, viral hepatitis especially, presents in three different stages that comes from 1, 2, and 3. The stage 1 is where they present like any other viral fever, which includes fever, of course, with body ache, joint pains, loss of appetite, nausea, vomiting. So this is the first phase, which is called the prodromal phase. Following this, there is the jaundice phase. That is the most characteristic feature of viral hepatitis. So these patients present with yellowish discoloration of the eyes, of the mucous membranes, and of the skins. This is mainly due to increase in the serum bilirubin in the blood, which results in the yellowish discoloration. Following this, they present in something called the pruritic phase. This is mainly the last phase where the patients are recovering, but the symptoms during this will be intense itching and deepening of the jaundice before it slowly comes down.
So, how is it treated?
So viral hepatitis can be treated in a multitude of ways depending upon the type of virus. So if you look at hepatitis A and E, they usually present with acute hepatitis, which means that they present exactly how I've mentioned in the three phases. In these patients, more often than not, it is a self-limiting illness, which means that you need to give only supportive. You have to make sure that the patient's hydration is maintained. So you give them a lot of plenty of fluids. You maintain their nutrition, so good nutritious diet needs to be given during this time. And if asymptomatic, if you have fever, if they have itching, there are certain medications that can be given. So the virus itself per se is a self-limiting illness. Only in about 1% of patients they can have complications. What are the complications of viral hepatitis? They can have liver failure. This is manifested by bleeding and altered behavior and mentation. So these patients, when they become drowsy, when they have confusion, and they have bleeding, these are the signs that the viral hepatitis has become complicated and they need to get admitted. This is about hepatitis A and E. Apart from this, hepatitis B and C are the other types of viruses which can cause clinical disease. These viruses are a little bit more difficult to treat and they require specific antiviral treatment. They are usually drugs which are given over a period ranging from 3 months to 1 year. And it needs to be given after we do a few blood tests, we do a few scans to assess the liver damage, and then we can start these oral medications.
So, can you tell us what precautionary measures patients with hepatitis B and C must take?
Patients who are already diagnosed with hepatitis B and C need to be aware of what are the modes of transmission. So the precautions they have to take are twofold. One is to make sure that the disease doesn't spread between their loved ones. So in this case, hepatitis B and C usually are spread by close contact and by bodily fluids, right? So high risk behavior like IV drug abuse, reusing needles, or even unprotected sexual intercourse needs to be completely avoided in these patients. Apart from that, they need to take certain lifestyle modifications to make sure that their disease doesn't progress. And this includes cessation of alcohol, cessation of smoking, and also dietary practices like decreasing the amount of fried food oily food, fatty food in the diet, all this can lead to worsening of the liver disease and they can lead to complications.
And what about other forms of hepatitis? What are the precautionary measures people should take?
So for hepatitis A and E, it's usually spread by fecal-oral route, that is contaminated food and water. So the most important precaution to be taken is to have observed good hygiene and personal care. Always be aware that, and they usually spread in terms of epidemics or endemics in certain geographical locations. So when you're going out, make sure that you have bottled water or boiled water at hand, and food that you consume from outside should be verified so that they don't have any contaminants in them. So this is one of the best and effective ways to prevent hepatitis A and E. Apart from that, the other preventive measures will include vaccinations for hepatitis A and B.
So, what are the risk factors in prevention for chronic liver disease?
The final common disease that mainly has multiple etiologies and causes. The most important of them is alcohol in our country. The most common cause of chronic liver disease in our country is alcohol. So alcohol-related chronic liver disease accounts for almost 70 to 80% of our disease burden of chronic liver disease. So cessation of alcohol should be at the top of the list for anyone who's trying to look at preventing chronic liver disease. Apart from that, viral hepatitis is the second cause. As I had mentioned, high-risk behavior like IV drug abuse, unprotected sexual intercourse, etc., needs to be definitely avoided. And apart from this, even blood transfusions can be a cause. So you need to be making sure that you receive blood from verified sources in blood banks which check for hepatitis B and C. And apart from viral hepatitis, there is an important aspect which I'd like to stress on is non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which can also cause hepatitis and it can lead to chronic liver disease. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is a condition where there's deposition of fat in the liver, and over a period of time, this causes liver damage and chronic liver disease. So it's very important for us to understand that because 30% of our population is overweight, has metabolic risk factors, and these patients are at a higher risk for chronic liver disease and even liver cancer. So simple measures like dietary practices, like reducing amount of fast food, reducing the amount of saturated fats in your diet, reducing the amount of smoked meats in your diet, red meat in your diet, all this can go a long way in preventing non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Apart from that, even simple exercise. I would like to quote one of our studies where we have shown that even 1 kilo weight loss because of sustained walking, just walking, not going to the gym, not doing any hard exercise, just walking, can lead to a significant reduction in the fat deposition in the liver and alter the course of the disease. So these are the three main etiologies of chronic liver disease that needs to be looked into and patients need to be aware of.
Thank you so much for your time for the health
Thank
side
you.
and giving such good information for people. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thanks, Arush. Cheers.